When two Hollywood legends like Clint Eastwood and Robert De Niro share the same stage, audiences expect class, charm, and maybe a few golden anecdotes. But what happened during their joint appearance on live television left both fans and hosts scrambling to make sense of the moment. The evening started smooth, with laughter and mutual compliments exchanged between the two actors. They discussed their legacy, reflected on cinema's golden era, and paid respects to each other's body of work. But the atmosphere shifted subtly when a political joke landed flat, and De Niro, known for his strong opinions, pushed the conversation down a path Eastwood wasn't ready to tread quietly on. It began when the host asked them about their thoughts on the role of Hollywood in shaping public opinion. De Niro, quick to chime in, launched into one of his signature monologues. He criticized the current political climate and name-dropped public figures he disagreed with, as he often does. Eastwood, seated beside him with arms crossed and an unreadable expression, listened quietly. The audience, clearly used to De Niro's candor, gave polite applause. But Clint's silence wasn't passive, it was calculating. When the host turned to him for his take, the room tensed. Everyone sensed he wasn't going to echo De Niro's words. Eastwood leaned forward, his iconic gravel voice cutting through the air. "I think Hollywood's job is to entertain," he said slowly, "not lecture." The audience reacted with a mix of murmurs and applause. De Niro raised an eyebrow, visibly surprised. "So you think we should just shut up and act?" he asked with a half-smirk. Clint didn't blink. "I think folks came here to hear stories, not sermons." The crowd was now locked in. The tension was real, but Eastwood wasn't done. He continued, "If we spent as much time on good scripts as we do on speeches, maybe movies would be better again." De Niro tried to laugh it off, saying, "Well, at least I still care enough to say something." But Clint wasn't in the mood for soft punches. "Caring isn't the same as shouting," he replied, his tone sharp. "Sometimes silence has more backbone." The air got heavier. The host attempted to mediate, but the audience was enthralled. This wasn't a rehearsed moment. This was two giants of film having a raw, unscripted clash of philosophy. Clint wasn't looking to embarrass De Niro. He was just done pretending to nod politely while disagreeing, and it showed. Robert, not one to back down, pushed further. "So we're supposed to sit on our hands while the world burns?" Clint responded instantly, "No. We're supposed to build better fires." That line hit hard. The crowd burst into gasps, then applause. It was poetic, biting, and vintage Eastwood. Robert looked momentarily stunned, clearly not expecting that level of quick-witted defiance. He chuckled nervously, trying to recover the tone. "Well, you've still got away with words," he admitted. Clint simply nodded. The audience knew they had just witnessed something rare, two masters standing their ground without a script in sight. Social media exploded within minutes of the exchange. Clips circulated with captions like "Eastwood drops truth bomb" and "De Niro shut down on live TV." Fans on both sides debated endlessly in comment sections, dissecting each sentence. Clint trended for hours, with many praising his calm delivery and refusal to engage in theatrics. Others defended De Niro, claiming he was brave for speaking his mind. But regardless of which side they were on, everyone agreed on one thing: the moment was unforgettable. It was Hollywood history, unscripted and raw, something audiences rarely get anymore. Backstage, tensions remained high. According to crew insiders, Clint remained composed, even cracking a few quiet jokes with the camera team. De Niro, on the other hand, appeared frustrated but professional. He later told the producer, "I didn't expect Clint to come at me like that." To which another crew member reportedly replied, "He didn't come at you, Bob. He just didn't back down." That subtle distinction summed it up perfectly. Eastwood wasn't trying to fight it, he was defending a belief, and he did so with the same stoic steel he's brought to decades of iconic roles. When asked later if he regretted the exchange, Clint replied, "Not a word. If people can't handle disagreement, they're in the wrong business." That quote alone got picked up by several outlets and shared across platforms. Many celebrities quietly reached out to him in support, appreciating his ability to stand firm without turning combative. The incident became a hot topic on late-night shows, with hosts trying to spin the narrative for laughs. But fans saw it differently. They saw authenticity. Two legends, one moment, and no rehearsed ending, just reality. Interestingly, while the media tried to paint the moment as a feud, Clint and De Niro didn't let it become one. They didn't take to Twitter. They didn't follow up with petty interviews. Both men simply moved on. That, too, spoke volumes. In a world of drama and digital shouting, silence and dignity stood out. Eastwood's approach was old school: speak your mind, stand your ground, then walk away. De Niro, though clearly ruffled, eventually acknowledged that they had a difference of opinion and left it at that. No apology tours, no spin doctors, just mutual respect with edges. The audience at that taping will never forget what they saw. Many reported that the silence in the room after Clint's "Build Better" fires line was deeper than any cheer could have been. It wasn't just the content, it was the delivery. Controlled, unflinching, legendary. The host later commented, "I thought it was going to be a love fest, but it turned into something better, real talk." And in a way, that moment reinvigorated interest in both actors. People began revisiting their films, reanalyzing their interviews, and even comparing their leadership styles through their characters. Clint Eastwood's ability to command a room without raising his voice has always set him apart, but seeing that same poise applied to a real-life situation made it all the more impressive. It wasn't Dirty Harry or the man with no name who stunned Niro, it was the man behind those characters. The calm, aged, wise Clint who knows exactly when to fire words and when to hold them back. It showed that presence doesn't always come from volume, sometimes it's in the restraint. That moment reminded everyone why Eastwood remains one of the most respected names in Hollywood. De Niro may not have come out of the exchange with applause, but he didn't come out weak either. He stood his ground, tried to turn the conversation back to his views, and didn't storm off or insult Eastwood personally. That takes its own kind of strength, but it also exposed how polarizing Hollywood has become. Where once stars debated behind closed doors, now everything is live, immediate, and analyzed in real time. What De Niro said that night isn't likely to be remembered as much as what Clint said in response, and that's the power of a well-placed comeback. Days later, several publications ran think pieces on the clash. Was it a generational divide? Was it about politics or about pride? Most concluded it was simply two men with different codes. Eastwood represents an older, quieter Hollywood, a stoic, deliberate, and tough without being loud. De Niro, more expressive and vocal, reflects the modern tendency to speak out on every issue. Together, they showcase the spectrum of belief and style that still exists in the entertainment world. And while the clash was surprising, it was also a necessary reminder that diversity of thought isn't something to fear. What Eastwood did that night wasn't about winning an argument, it was about showing that disagreement doesn't have to mean disrespect. He didn't raise his voice, didn't insult, didn't belittle. He simply replied with sharp, thoughtful words that hit harder than any insult could. And that's why the audience reacted the way they did. Shock, then admiration. It wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it. De Niro may have been stunned, but deep down, even he must have respected the elegance of the retort, because in Hollywood, the real pros know when a moment has turned iconic. So while the cameras eventually stopped rolling and the media shifted its attention to newer controversies, the moment between Clint Eastwood and Robert De Niro remained etched in the minds of those who watched it live. It wasn't scripted, it wasn't planned, it was two living legends revealing their truest selves in real time. And for Clint, all it took was one savage comeback to remind the world why he's still one of the most powerful voices in cinema, not because he talks the loudest, but because when he does speak, the world listens.